Hello and welcome to Pantheon Tea. This is your one-stop shop for all your Webtoon related drama. This is where we dive into controversial web topics, creators, companies, and everything else. If you have something juicy you want to discuss, then leave a comment below or link the subject matter if possible. The way this stream will work is we'll begin by discussing the current scandalizing topic, then we'll have a brief Q&A where you can ask whatever you want, and then I will conclude with a shout out by one of our amazing supporters. Alright, so grab yourself a snack, a drink, some headphones, or whatever else you need as we dive into these topics. Or topic, I should say. So a brief disclaimer, as I always say, this is really for, any sort of legal battles that I ever might have to face. But if you need to, pause it so you can read it. But basically, take everything that Pantheon Talks, Apollo says with a grain of salt. And so now, what are we talking about? So we are going to be talking about Webtoons and the Covenant situation. So the creator of Covenant and Webtoons are having a bit of beef, where the original creator of Covenant basically said that Webtoons is sabotaging them. So this creator is wanting to print volumes of their book or their comic into a book to sell in Barnes & Noble or on Amazon or something like that. And so they want to advertise it on their comic on Webtoons platform. And so basically Webtoons is like, no, you can't do that. And so the creator is now saying that they are sabotaging them. So I want to ask you guys, do you think that Webtoons stopping this creator from advertising their printed comic on their site as sabotage? Oh no, I gotta plug up the computer. We don't want the computer to die. Whew, that would have been bad. So, while you guys are answering that, I just want to talk about what sabotage is and from a more legal perspective. So, we can think about sabotage as the act of hampering or deliberately subverting or hurting the efforts of another person. Artsumi Shea said, are they a Webtoon original or Canvas? So they are a Webtoon original creator. So they are working directly with Webtoons. This isn't independently. This is a direct relation with the company. Kaylee Blue said, sounds like mismanagement, which is par for the Webtoon course. So, I don't know if it's necessarily mismanagement. I would need you to further elaborate on what you mean by that, Kaylee Blue. If you want to clarify, let me know and I'll come back to your comment. So, looking back here at this sabotage thing, it brings out that it's where the opposing party is actively and deliberately, I feel like deliberately is the key word, trying to hurt the efforts of another person. So to really understand this situation fully, I feel like we would need to look at Webtoons the contract with the original creator, as well as anything that Webtoons has told creators as the standard level of what they expect from them and what they can or cannot do within the episode. And so I feel like that if you have rules like that, they have to be clearly given to another party in order for them to be breaking them. And if they are given, regardless if the party knows or not, let's say that they're a footnote in a contract, then if you signed it, it says what it says. So when we think about sabotage, it's kind of like a very strong word, because it makes me wonder, do they feel that, because them and Webtoons work together, so do they feel that Webtoons is actively trying to hurt them from making any sort of profit? Or does Webtoons just feel like because they're not printing the book, So that's another thing. Webtoons is not printing this book, that they have the rights to say no to you advertising a product that's not a Webtoon related product on their site. Nobody said, not sure what contract they signed, but that's basically not creative rights. Webtoon is really screwing them over. I can agree that Webtoons is definitely screwing them over, because I feel like if this is something really important to a creator, especially one like Covenant, because Covenant is pretty big. Like, they're on their 3rd season. Like, they make decent numbers. They made it to like number 4 or 5, maybe number 3 on the Amazon pre-order list for their first volume. So they have a pretty strong fan base behind them. And I feel like I've seen Webtoon let other people advertise their comic, or not their comic. I keep calling comic. Let's call it book. Advertise their book in their episodes. Like The Unordinary Creator did that, and I don't think that was published through Webtoon Scroll. So I can see the creators' anger and being upset, because it's like, why are you picking on me when so many other people are doing this? But I also feel like, because everybody's an independent contractor for Webtoons, that everybody has different deals. And I feel like that's kind of the issue with creators. And that's where we fall into this legal versus ethical battle, where it's like, so is Webtoon screwing people over, or is this how other people's contracts are designed, where in their contract they're allowed to do this, whereas in your contract you're not allowed to do this? So that would be my first thing that I would want to know is, what does your contract say? And if your contract says like you can put anything you want on there, regardless of what Webtoon says, then like if, like, say you signed a contract and it said in the contract that you could advertise whatever you wanted in it, and then Webtoons later on came and said, hey, we don't want you to do that. You cannot do that, Webtoons, without having a written amendment that both of you sign. So if nothing was signed and nothing was amended, it doesn't matter how many things you send to me, Webtoons, until we make an addendum to the contract, then you're kind of out of luck. Kaylee Blue said BTS, they had rules against it but forgot to enforce it. So forgetting to enforce a rule is kind of a company's right. So like, a company doesn't have to enforce a rule. A lot of the legalese and contracts are there so that the company can enforce it when they want to. So like, for instance, there's a lot of companies that allow, let's say, fan art of their merchandise, and they don't go after creators for it, but they could have a TOS on their platform that says like they are against fan art, and they do that for legal reasons. Like if somebody ever was like, we're making millions of dollars, they could be like, oh, no, we said not to do that. And so now this is where it can get into the trenches, because if the person decides to hire a lawyer to fight them in court, then that's where we get into this battle of, okay, so you set the precedence for this. So that's where like precedence would come in. Otherwise, unless we're going to court, then it's kind of out the window, which is unfair. Like, I wish that companies would just be fair about everything and kind of help everybody out a little bit. Like, if you're going to set the standard for not allowing people to advertise that aren't products that you publish directly, then you should do that across the board. That's just my opinion. Artsumi Shay said, so it's interesting because of the whole contract discussion. Since Webtoon isn't in control of physical publishing, they aren't getting a cut of that cast. Super unfortunate, still not fair. So to just focus on that for a minute, I still feel like it's a little narrow-sided, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but hear me out. So let's say Covenant, like this creator gets these books, and so now they do the con circuit. So they're selling their books to people who aren't even fans of theirs. And so let's say they finish the first volume of the book. Now the person wants to read more. Well, they look up to see where they can read more. Where does it take them? It takes them back to Webtoon's site, which helps Webtoon in the long run. It adds, a new person to their platform. It adds additional revenue through ads. It adds the person finding other series on the platform that they might enjoy, which all at the end of the day helps out Webtoons. And for a creator of this size, I would think that Webtoons would have just let it go. Now, a smaller creator, I could see them totally being like, you're not even helping us out that much. But I'm sure the Covenant creator has probably brought them like, I don't know, like a good amount of money. Since I'm not privy to amounts of money that they actually bring in, I didn't want to throw out any numbers, but it just hurts me so much. Kelly Blue said they started enforcing it more now because of them moving to look nice for investors. I think they started enforcing it more now because they have their own books. Like, since they opened up that area, like before it wasn't a big deal because they were completely a digital publisher. But now that they're producing their own physical books, I think they're like, yeah, we don't care about y'all making y'all's own books. Like, we want everybody to focus on our stuff. And I think that's the mentality they're going with. Oh, Hugh, hello. So glad to have you. And Kaylee Blue, you could be right too. I think it could be a nice look for investors. Although with them like basically having super likes turned into the ultimate gotcha system, I don't know. I feel like that looks good for investors too. Like they're like really pandering to investors in my opinion. But I mean, hey, if that's how you get the money and you're okay with it, then it is what it is. Nobody said, yeah, they put in heavy contracts yet awful pay. I think it would be as bad if they actually made fair wage. Oh, wouldn't be as bad if they actually made a fair wage. So I think the Covenant creator probably makes a decent salary. I don't want to say they make a lot of money. I mean, I don't know. But I think after 3 seasons and them being pretty outspoken and them being pretty savvy, I think that they would have negotiated, especially after their first year or whatever they signed their initial contract for, to make a decent living wage. Hugh said, yeah, like Nomads is published through Boom Studio, and I'm the Grim Reaper is published through Viz, but Webtoons allows both to promote their books. And so that's where I'm like, so you're allowing these to publish theirs. Was this because of something they did specifically? Like, did the Nomads creator or the Grim Reaper creator, like tell Webtoons that they wanted to put this in there? Like what was the way they went about doing it? Did they do it differently or did they just put it up there? And that's what we need more information on. Is there a process for doing this when you don't make your book through Webtoons? Or because it's so inconsistent. And that's the problem when you have like a bunch of like different contracts floating around at a company. Other people see things and thinks it's not fair, but then it's like, well, my contract's not the same as yours. So that's where I'm like, can we get some actual details on this, some clarification? Like, this is where I need Webtoons to like actually come and speak about certain things sometimes, because all they have to do is put out simple PR statements and it would kind of clear up a lot of stuff. Like, they could easily have said, we're listening to Explodey Kid about their concerns. However, every creator has a different contract and has different bylaws that they must follow. And we will look into this further and figure out, how to move forward in a way that the creator is happy and that we're happy as a company with the situation. Like, that's such an easy statement to say that gives away no information and just says that we're working on it. Like, so easy. Oh my good grief. Hugh also said maybe those series allow Webtoon to take a cut from their sales, but the creator of Covenant doesn't allow it. So I did hear, which there's a video linked in the description down below, that Webtoons does have a policy where they will take a percentage for hosting a book that's not made by them. That's something I heard. I cannot confirm if that's true or not. I didn't do a lot of research into it myself, but this person seems to be pretty reputable, and they seem to do their research to make sure that what they're reporting on is correct. As someone who's not necessarily a news reporter that just kind of likes to comment and talk about these things and like develop our business brains off of them, I cannot always speak to the validity of every article that I look up or that I look at. As you guys know, a lot of times we look at Reddit stuff. So it's just kind of like we're taking everything with a grain of salt, but we're kind of learning from all of this, if you get what I'm saying. Hugh said, yeah, fan art is actually a copyright infringement. Yep, it definitely is. It is, but I just felt like that was a good example. Maybe I can think of another example later. Hugh is pretty much the legal brain over here, so if you guys ever need to bounce legal ideas off of anyone, they are super, super smart, and I love getting their perspective on stuff. Witches Brew, hello! So glad to have you. I think we would need to see the contract they signed to determine if it's actually sabotage. I think it ultimately hurts both parties in the end, more so on the creator though. 100% think it hurts the creator. Oh, no bye. Am I not saying it right? Is it like new bye? The way you pronounce my name is funny. I'm so sorry. It could also be my accent. I'm pretty southern. And so my last point was for creators, anyone, just remember that you're a business. Like, whenever you're getting any sort of information from a company, from someone who wants to do any sort of work that you're getting paid for, even work that's free, you want to make sure that the contract doesn't screw you over at the end of the day. Oh no! Nubia? I hope I'm saying that right. Long E. Nubia. Long E, short A. So I'm terrible at sounding things out. I'm doing my best. Okay, so this is the actual post that Explodey Kid made. So they said, my publisher Webtoon is trying to sabotage my graphic novel launched by deleting my credits off my episode and prohibiting me from telling my own readers that the webcomic they read is available as a book. The credits they're deleting is shown below. So this is the way it would have looked if it had appeared in the episode that they created. And apparently Webtoons just completely yoinked that right out. So I'm like, ooh, dang. So they went on to elaborate about why they feel like this is hurting them. So they said, their lack of support and attempts to undermine my career has been incredibly damaging to my mental health and is greatly impacting my ability to continue my series. So I just want to pause right there for a second and talk about how it's really hard to, like when you're working on a creative project, you put a lot of like mental thought into it. You put a lot of your like heart, your passion, like a lot of your physical, emotional, and mental abilities into something. And for you to deal with additional pressures from life and society, as well as whatever else is going on in your life, to have all of that at once while you're working on a series is a lot in of itself. But then for your partner, publisher, boss, whatever you want to call it, to also be like actively fighting against you, it is kind of sucky, because I feel like if Webtoons saw something in the episode that they didn't like or they felt like should be removed, they should have told the creator like, hey, we're taking this out. We don't want to put it in here. Here's our reasons why. I don't know if they did that. I'm just saying, like, they're already dealing with a lot. And so to add that on top of it is just extra stressful. So then Explodey Kid went on to say, their actions prevent me from reaching my 700K readers and will greatly hurt my book sales. So I completely understand why they would want to advertise on their Webtoon. 700K readers is a lot of readers to have on your series. And so the fact that they're not able to advertise, that is impacting their revenue. Like, they could have been really banking on the fact that they would have been able to reach that large amount of their audience. And I'm sure Exploding Kit knows, like, not everybody is going to buy, but for the book to have the most success, they really wanted to, you know, hit all of the fan base that they had. So they went on to say they have allowed every single other series on the platform that has been printed to promote their books except me, citing new policies that conveniently coincide with my book. So this is where I'm like, 700k readers is a lot. Like, that's kind of crazy that they would want to pick a fight with the creator like this, because at the end of the day, if they don't have creators that want to work with them, they really don't have a platform. And so for one creator to actively like put this out in public is such a big deal to me, because it just screams dissatisfaction. Artsumi say, it's just so shady. Why would they go and remove it? They should have had a conversation about this first. Smells fishy. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, why would you pick a fight with your big creator? That's the thing that gets me every time. All right, so let's look at what Reddit has to say about this. Let's look. All right, I'm gonna close the PowerPoint. What is happening? Oh no. Like, normally I have an escape button, but like my oh no. Ugh. I'm sorry guys. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. Like, my normal keys that I have access to are not there. So give me 1 second to see if I can even get out of this PowerPoint. We are just going to keep... Yeah, I don't necessarily trust Reddit, Hugh. I just find I find it interesting to see what people are saying on there unfiltered about things, just to kind of get like a better perspective on what like a lot of people are saying. Because at the end of the day, everybody's kind of giving opinions. And so unless I'm like actively researching or looking at a contract, I can only speculate on things that I've come to my own conclusion about. So that's where I'm like, you know, we're taking everything with a grain of salt. All right, sorry about that, guys. It took me forever to get out of that PowerPoint. Kaylee Blue said, Reddit is so good at losing their minds over a lie, then never correcting it. I 100% agree with that. Like, it is insane sometimes how, like, the smallest things people can put on Reddit can, like, really, really, really get out of hand. And then, like, when it's found out that, you know, whatever was said was incorrect, nobody goes back to correct their statements or anything. So I completely understand people's like disinterest in Reddit. It's just one of the few sources that I can find where I feel like people are actively giving their honest opinion to a reasonable degree about the things that are going on. Miracles Art, hello! They said, thank you for all your hard work and putting these discussions together. Yes, thank you guys for being here to discuss these with me. Honestly, I really want to know what y'all's opinions are the most, because at the end of the day, like, I feel like us talking about these topics only help us to kind of figure out how to be better creators, especially on the business side of things. Maybe we'll do a poll later on this. But let's look at this for a little while. So this person said, Considering how last week or so some revealed Webtoon's scummy and downright unethical contract and how it mentions the IP and publishing rights, I don't doubt Webtoon at all to pull this slimy stunt. A real if I don't profit, you don't profit behavior is doing TF. So, when looking at this, sorry, I got a text. So, when looking at this, what's interesting about this is they talk about a contract being unethical. And I just want to point this out to everyone. Oh, Fish, hello! I always love saying your name. So glad that you were able to make it. So, what this person is saying here, they said that the contract is unethical. So contracts, in my opinion, are always unethical. Somebody is always trying to screw you over in a contract. I feel like that's just how it is whenever you're working with a corporate company. And you just have to be aware of that. And are they unethical? I wouldn't necessarily say unethical because, I guess I could agree with that. But I would think they're more so in favor of one party over another. And that's why you have to have your own lawyer. It sucks because, struggling artists or starving artists is a connotation that a lot of people have. But even now in today's economy and society, it's hard for normal people to be able to have the amount of money to pay for a good lawyer that would go to bat for you or fight for you and make people take you seriously in the entertainment field. Now, the one thing I will say about this comment is it is very much giving a I don't profit, you don't profit behavior. That's 100% what it is. I feel like they feel that allowing other creators to advertise on their platform has really screwed them over in losing out on a lot of money. If I can't remember if Rachel, I don't think she's going through Webtoon Unscroll. I want to say she's not. I feel like they feel that because they allow people like Rachel to advertise on their platform that they lost out on so much money. And I feel that they feel that by starting to really crack down on this, they're going to force more creators to work directly with them and do Webtoon Unscroll. Oh, Jess! Hello! Jess said, I'm in there, but the only thing I pay attention to are the event announcements. What are we talking about? Oh, Webtoon Canvas. Oh, Hugh said, one day I will infiltrate the official Webtoon Canvas Discord and get the accurate information. Jess, what's the tea about Webtoon Canvas Discord? What's going on in there? We need you to be our inside source. Also, it is time for me to open a delicious cola. What are you guys drinking? I finished my tea, and so now I'm on to my cola game. Oh my good grief. That was delicious. I love it. I only drink soda with you guys. You guys is my cheat time. Oh, I did want to draw attention to this. So, Explodey Kid did make more comments about stuff. So, here's another one that we can look at. They said, apparently, they feel comfortable forbidding me to promote my graphic novel because, quote, how do they, Webtoon, even benefit from me promoting my book, end quote. Seeing as I am a creator who narrowly evaded their IP grabbing endeavors, they see no reason to even allow me to tell my readers about my book. So Explodey Kid was going off in this. The next comment they said, if you are new to me and my work, you might not know I am very outspoken about artist and worker rights compensation and discuss unethical Webtoon practices as I strongly feel this is retaliation. But of course, it probably is just convenient timing. So if you are working with somebody and you do have like such a strong fan base, this is where in previous streams I've talked about having power. Having power allows you to be able to do certain things, unfortunately, like make posts like this and someone not terminate your contract, because terminating the contract at this point would just justify what they're saying. So Webtoons is kind of in a little bit of a pickle with, their options on this, in my opinion. Webtoons may not care, but I'm just saying, I feel like because this creator is very outspoken, they know that they need to be careful with what they do. And I feel like this is the right way to go as a business owner. If you're dissatisfied with the service that you're being provided or the parameters of the contract that you've received, you definitely need to contact the company and let them know. Now, I personally may not have let them know in such a public forum, but I do see this as an option in any creator's arsenal, like letting people know publicly if the company does not respond within due time to your complaints. And as from what I can tell, Webtoons is very slow to really like actively communicate things to anybody. They just kind of get the money and run away. Let's look at their next comment here. So they said they will probably reply to this saying, quote, we just said you have to put it on your creator page. You just can't put it in your Webtoon, end quote. The difference in reach is 700,000 readers on my Webtoon and 11,000 readers on my creator page. From unfairly age gating my comic, denying me raises despite 3 years of backbreaking labor, and now sabotaging my book launch, they have completely destroyed my mental health, and I will no longer stay silent. So this is really unfortunate because, as they brought out, they've been working with Webtoons for 3 years. So you can only imagine the amount of work that they put into this comic. And if you haven't looked at their comic, a lot of their pages and panels and character designs, take a lot of effort and work. And so I can only imagine doing that every day, 40 to 80 hours a week, trying to get episodes out, trying to, support your fans, continue to build a fan base. All of that stuff is a lot of work. Miracles Art said, unfortunately, just water, no sugar after 8 p.m. Aw! Alright, I'll let you slide. You can be a part of the water gang. I feel like we always have a water gang here. Hugh said, the thing is, I don't think Webtoons values the creators that much, despite their huge following. They have other series on the platform that does better numbers, and they have such a huge amount of series on the platform, I don't think Webtoons will lose a lot if the creator of Covenant opts out. Also, they have an endless supply of Korean imported Webtoons that are guaranteed to hit big numbers. They do. And I see what you're saying. I don't know. Are there a lot of series on Webtoons that have more than 700k readers? Like, I know that there are series on there. I didn't realize there was a lot of them. Maybe I'm just not like in the loop on some of these series. Is 700k like an average number? Now, that's really interesting, Hugh, because now it makes me feel like we need to research like what's a big series and what are big numbers for Webtoons. I guess Rachel would have been the one to look at to see like what her number count was. Oh, Rachel. I feel like I talk about her in contracts every stream. Like, we need to have like a shot game or something for every time I talk about contracts or I talk about Laura Olympus or Rachel Smythe. Like, one of those things needs to happen. Just like every time I mention it, we all take a shot. We would all be like destroyed. Okay, here's one more comment. They said if you're a reader that I am no longer able to reach through my series, or are someone who might appreciate a supernatural action comic, please consider pre-ordering my graphic novel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So I forgot to do this, but I will definitely link the Exploding Kids comic in the description down below so that you can make sure to support them easily. You'll just click the comic and go to the link to support their book. But I just want to read that last one. Okay, so this person said, all right, I'm not too familiar with original rules, but for the ads program thingy, you can't make an entire episode about advertisement because they will take it down if they catch it. Imagine paying or watching ads for an episode just to be hit with another ad and no story. I hate when that happens, and I report it if I see it. Signing contracts usually means exclusivity, restricting promotion beyond the agreement, similar to exclusive shows on streaming services or rules for musicians under record labels. However, some contracts can be predatory, so always read them thoroughly before signing. I learned that the hard way as a young graphic designer. 100% agree with this comment. And so I just want to take a second to talk about what they mentioned up here. And so they were talking about how they're not fully familiar with everything, but they were basically saying the way advertisement is structured on Webtoons, it even affects the reading experience. But I think for this, Exploded Kid just had something at the bottom like, oh, support me on Patreon. And it was just like a little announcement like, I have a book now, support it. So I feel like that's not too out of the hand and doesn't necessarily affect what they're talking about. Now, as far as the contract goes, this is another instance where we see somebody who works in the industry as a graphic designer talking about the importance of reading your contract thoroughly before signing and how they mention that contracts can be predatory. And I just don't like that terminology that they're predatory because I feel like everybody's trying to get their bag. Like, if you offered me a deal that just like happened to favor me, I don't know if I would go out of my way to restructure the deal so that it's fair. Like, if you were like, I'm going to give you 70% and I'm only going to take 30%, I'd be like, okay, great. Like, you know, it's very rare that people, you know, try to make a contract 100% fair because otherwise people will respond and say, okay, well, I want my contract to be 50% and yours to be 50% as well, straight down the middle for everything. But it's never like that. Anyway, I can talk about that for forever. So I do like the fact that they're talking about exclusivity. And I feel like because Webtoons does have its own publishing house now, where their printing publishing house does have their own book publishing like department, they are printing this so that they can increase their revenue. And I feel that they feel it's cutting into that. So maybe they have something where you can advertise on there and they get a piece of that. But it's kind of like if I've gone through the effort of getting like Viz or Boom or something, I'm already giving them a portion. I don't want to have to give you another portion. But at the end of the day, I feel like you have to count the cost and see like, is it worth it to give them a portion? Or is it better for you to just do it on your own? So that's where I feel like you really have to kind of like figure out what's the most strategic position for you as a creator. Because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. Oh, Beanie. Hello. Beanie said, Webtoons has had bad optics lately. I think they know they need to tread lightly with these kinds of things. I 100% agree. And I feel like having a PR statement would go a long way in the grand scheme of things. Just saying. Like, PR does wonders for a company. It's not, like it's a position for a reason. Hugh said, Webtoon can keep profiting off them from Daily Pass. What are you talking about? Did I miss something? I'm not sure what the context of that question or that statement is, but yeah, Webtoons can keep profiting from Daily Pass stuff. Kelly Blue said, I don't see why people expect a company to care. Maybe some employees do, or employers do, but the people making the decisions probably don't. Oh, you do mean employees. Maybe some employees do, but the people making the decisions probably don't even know any creators' names unless it's on their pitch. Yeah, see, that is something that you have to come to realization with, that the people you talk to in the company don't necessarily reflect the mentality of the higher ups, and at the higher levels a lot of people probably just do not care about anything that's going on other than if their bank account or their revenue is being increased. Hugh said, time to make a bingo sheet for your live streams. Oh, should we make a bingo sheet? That would be so much fun. Hugh also said, just like the different opinions are downvoted in Reddit, LOL. Kaylee Blue said, I find predatory a weird term. Maybe I'm thinking about it too hard, but a rabbit can't say no to a wolf. Yeah, I feel that. Arsumi Shea said, as a Canvas creator, I would love to publish physical copies whether I have a contract or not. I would be worried to already have publishing in process, and they make me halt that. Okay, so, Arsumi Shea, this is what I think you shouldn't be worried about the future in terms of halting what you're doing for Webtoons, because unless you know for a certainty that you're about to become an original or something like that, I wouldn't worry about it. I would keep pursuing whatever I'm trying to do, and you can always frame. Let's say you do make a volume 1 for Space Ultima, and you print it and you sell it and whatnot, and then you become an original. You can always frame it as an original run of the series, edition 1 of the series. You can do it like that. In DC and Marvel, they have reboots all of the time of characters and series and whatnot. So Space Ultima had something like that. You just have to figure out a way to market it to people that it's different, it's fresh, it's an addition, it's an exclusive. Or you frame it as the people who got the originals have an original copy, and they've received something that no one else will receive or something like that. You can't worry about it. It's one of those things where I'm you just can't worry about it. You got to do what you got to do and increase that revenue, Arsumi Shea. Oh, man. Hugh said, Canvas creators don't have contracts. They only have the TOS. Yep. So true. Kaylee Blue said, yeah, they can't do anything to Canvas in that case. Arsumi Shea said, I meant if someone went from Canvas to original. So yeah, that's what I was saying. If they do go from Canvas to original, if you've already made it, I feel like you would be fine. Just try and figure out a way that you could market it where it's something special. Okay, we'll look at one more comment and then... Okay, this person said, the frustrating thing is, where do we go to read non-pirated manhwas? I got really into Tapas, but their app is garbage. I have lost hundreds of thousands of ink because of issues that they have had they are not willing to address. The stuff in English usually is exclusive on one of the official sites, and I don't want to read fan translations when it means the author won't be compensated. I get that not all businesses are great, but I don't want to reward scummy behavior just so that I can read some great stuff. So this is the thing that I feel is so hard to deal with, because there's really the amount of people that care about things like this, I don't think would necessarily affect them. A lot of people get on, read their favorite comics, and move on. They're not thinking about the social dynamics of the Webtoon creators versus Webtoon as a company versus Webtoon Canvas creators. People aren't thinking about a lot of that. So I feel it's one of those things where, for now, creators just have to put up with it and just not be so invested in Webtoons. Be like the Heartstopper creator. Get yourself a Netflix series. Get yourself recognized by someone else that believes in you as a creator. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Okay, let's pull the PowerPoint back up. Oh, is it Affirmus? I never know if I'm saying your name correctly. I hope I am. If you're popular enough to make good money off of Canvas, you should stay on Canvas and stay away from the Originals contract. Hey, I want to know about that. So from my research, like it seemed that a lot of Webtoon Canvas stuff is kind of capped. Like you can only make so much money on Canvas where they won't pay you anymore. Is that accurate? Like Affirmus? Affirmers? I'm not sure how to say it. I'm sorry. I tried to sound it out. I'm so bad at sounding things out. Like, I just want to know because, like, from my research, I feel like the ad revenue is terrible. And for the ad revenue, you have to build up like $100 before they pay it out. Let me pull this up because I was again watching a stream about, similar to this, and it's from Webcomics Hub. He's awesome. Love his stuff. And he was talking about how Super Likes works and how the ad revenue program works. And he said monthly payments are processed automatically in $100 increments. Therefore, you must reach $100 before payment is processed. I was like, wait, what? That's insane. So, like, if you made $115 in the month, you can only get $100. So I was like, so even if I made $50 on there and I wanted that $50, I still couldn't get it until I reached $100. And even if I made, $550, I wouldn't have access to that until much later. And from what he said in his video, a lot of the Canvas creators are making like, I can't remember exactly, but I think he said like 40 cent, 50 cent. Like it was something extremely low. So I was like, how would you even get to $100 with that amount of money? Like, you would have to have tons of readers and tons of episodes. Hugh said, you can use Canvas just as a way of marketing and make your profit off of your book selling merch. That's what I agree with. I'm all about, like, you using Webtoons the way they use you. Like, be so disinterested in them to where it's like, this is just business. And they feel like it's just business and there's no hard feelings between the two of you. Oh, I can't even. I'm gonna try. Fearmers. Oh, I'll have to go back out and cut out all of these trying to sound out names. I'm gonna just call you E for now. I'll have to hear your name pronounced before I'll be able to say it. Like, I'm terrible at sounding things out. I'm sorry. So, a sad little poor story about Apollo. He never learned how to sound things out. So, normally, I just try to memorize things when I hear them. I'm like, all right, got it locked, hopefully. Artsumi Shay said, a great Canvas story and a Patreon can take you a long way. Yes. I don't know if you guys have ever read Sheltered. Amazing series. One of my favorite. It is probably my favorite series on Webtoons. It's a Canvas series. And the creator has like 400, I don't know. I want to say 200 to 400 subscribers on Patreon. And then if we think about like when I had the interview with Kaez is making like a crazy amount of money every month. Like you can do so much without Webtoons and possibly even make more than like what maybe a Webtoon original is making. Caleb Blue said the only thing that is capped is that you can't give more than 1,500 into super likes. Oh, okay. So ad revenue isn't capped. Got it. E said ad revenue is horrible, but Patreon merch and book sales are the money makers. Yes. Oh, is there Masked Queen merch? Did I miss that? Do I need to buy Masked Queen stuff? If you guys have not read The Masked Queen, please go and do it ASAP. It's so good. Man, now I'm forgetting how to. Nunbai said, I started looking into taps recently, and it seems pretty good compared to Webtoon. You only need 100 subs to start getting ads for revenue, and they say about 70% of revenue goes to creators. Taps. Taps? What is that? Are we talking about a new platform? If it's a new platform, send it to me, please. I would love to do some research into it. Jess said, I think Canvas creators who make a lot of money make it on Patreon. I think so too. Kaylee Blue said, the people that make the most make adult content though. And Hughes agrees. They said, not safe for work stuff on Patreon makes bank. Yes, I'm too innocent for not safe for work stuff. I'm so sorry. I can't handle it. It's too spicy. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have to pull out my fan and be fanning myself. Like, I can't take not safe for work stuff. Kayla Blue said, not saying that's bad, but if you don't do that, you might have a harder time. I don't know. I feel like some people have built, you just have to work at it. But I do think it is kind of a shortcut, depending. Miracles Art said, I've made thousands, okay, from Canvas through ad revenue alone, and it still pays out. Ad revenue just takes forever to add up to 100. I've been on Canvas for 5 years. Patreon is always the best way of support. Okay, I love the experience though. I would love to pick your brain sometime. We need to hear more about this. Oh, you were talking about Tapas. Okay. I kind of feel like so many people are saying Tapas is dead. So it's good to hear that they've been working out for you, or that they've updated to make the revenue program better. All right, so let's talk about Exploding Kid's situation. And I've kind of developed a little bit about what I was saying. Now, I want to make this clear. I do think that the situation is unfair, because regardless whether they're a mid-sized creator, a large creator, like, they are bringing... their comic does bring people to the platform. And so it's one of the unfortunate things of business, but every company is kind of unfair. And so it really, really sucks. And I hope that, like, because Exploding Kid is technically like an independent contractor or whatever they are, that Webtoons and them can come to some sort of consensus. Next, this is why I emphasize the point of you need a lawyer. And not just a lawyer, you need a good lawyer. Like, I feel like it's so important that having a lawyer on your side, or someone you can reach out to in situations like this to find out how, like, what ways you can, like, legally attack a situation to try and help it become more in your favor is super important. And this is where I just wanted to point out, like, I feel that it's so insane how much work that creators put into their series, and a lot of them are paid on, like, a salary sort of sense. So, like, if you think about how much you as a creator could make from the hours that you put into your series. So let's say you're working 80 hours a week. Like, just think about the next time you're working on your series, how many hours it takes you to make it, and then determine, like, if you were getting paid for every hour, how much you would get for that week. And see, like, if you ever get a contract and they're like, oh, well, we want to give you $3,000 a month. Do a second, look at those calculations that you've already made for your billable hours and see if it matches what a salary would be. Because Exploding Kid did mention compensation and fair wages, and I feel like all of that should go into account. And, like, be fair about it. Like, if you're only doing, 60 hours, 40 hours, like, it should be something reasonable. Next thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that publishing companies are cutthroat, and they've always been cutthroat. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it's one of the, like, unspoken truths that's so true that people ignore, but it's one of those, like, you just have to accept it as it is. Like, when we look at publishing houses, like for books and whatnot, they've always been terrible. And Webtoons is acting like a publishing house. So doing your research on like common practices in the entertainment industry, like for movies and television, in the book industry, so novels and all of that stuff, as well as looking at stuff in the comic industry. And one of the things that I've always found in my research is that the comic industry has always been probably one of the worst. Marvel, DC, Shonen Jump, they've always been super cutthroat. I remember hearing like Shonen Jump would like cut a series after like 2 weeks. Like they'd be like, you're not making the numbers, you're out. Like 2 weeks. That's insane. The series has barely even started. Like, it published one episode and then it was done. They were like, yeah, but we don't want it. So that's why I'm just like, Webtoons is kind of beneficial to creators despite all of the disgusting behaviors. Like, it's not acceptable sometimes. And so you just have to be aware that this is how that industry is. And so it's terrible. Now, the other thing I want to focus on is, from my research, a lot of comic companies and comics in general just have not paid well. And it's been so hard for creators to get like livable wages, to be able to do things full time, to really be fully invested into the projects they create. And so this is why it's so important to value yourself as a creator so that you can make sure that you're getting like the best deal possible. Like being an artist is probably like one of the hardest jobs to do, and be able to do it where you can do it for like, you know, the rest of your life, or for like as long as you can, or as long as you want to. Like it's really important to get good deals that will help you. And so lastly, the thing here is that art's subjective. Like, despite whether you're amazing artist, you're an amazing writer, you're amazing at both, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed success. And a publishing company may not pick your series for the simple reason of they already have series that are similar to it, and they don't want it to compete with what they already have. Yes, Josie, we 100% agree with each other. And then the last thing to always think about, which we kind of touched on, is that Webtoon is a business. And so I guess this is where I want to ask you guys, let's make a poll. Start poll. Is Webtoon Oh wait, I'm not typing. Where is it? Okay, there we go. I was like, where is it? Webtoon sabotaging its creators. I'm just going to leave it at a simple yes or no. So to answer this from my perspective, I feel like it's no. And I simply say that because I don't have the full guidelines of everyone's contract, and it just doesn't make sense to me that a business would actively go out of its way to deliberately sabotage its creators. So I'm hoping that this was just like some sort of misunderstanding between Explodikid and Webtoons, and that they can resolve it, and that they will make Explodikid happy in some sort of way. Because as Explodikid brought out, like, and as you guys have brought out, there's tons of other comics on the platform that have advertised their series that are not on the Webtoon Unscroll. So I hope it's not a personal vendetta. I hope it's not retaliation. And I hope that it was just somebody who was working in the editorial department or the review department noticed it and was like, we don't do that. And they brought it to someone's attention, and that person was just like, yeah, we don't do that. Let them know. Otherwise, I would have to say yes if it's the other side of it where they're actively going out of their way to specifically target creators that, because they've been inconsistent about this. So I hope they're not targeting people. And I might get in trouble for saying that, but that's just like my honest opinion on this situation. Contracts are so very difficult to deal with. Business is difficult to deal with. And no business, I feel like, wants their clientele, wants the people that they work with, their employees, their partners, to feel like they're being sabotaged. It just doesn't make sense. Now this is the part where I will say it's important to understand the company that you're going to work for. And so Webtoons does have a lot of dirt that keeps coming to the surface, and comes to the surface pretty often, pretty regularly. But I will say that a lot of companies have that too if you do enough research. Like, if you look up some of your favorite companies that you love, that you buy from, that you don't think anything about, you'll probably find some dirt or scandals. Like, I would definitely say, whatever your favorite company is, type it in and then type in scandal after the name, and I'm sure a few things will pull up. Last thing I want to say about this is to review your contract, and then after you read it, after your lawyer reads it, definitely figure out what you want that's reasonable that they're offering, and then try and determine like what'll make the most sense for you as a person. Like, is this the right wage? Am I willing to give up IP rights? Like, all of that stuff is super, super important, and just try and figure out like how to move forward the most logical, not emotional way. Because I'm sure it's exciting to be recognized for your work, and it's exciting to have the potential to grow your IP, grow your platform, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it might behoove you to really consider the future and if this type of work is worth the amount of compensation that you'll be receiving. Josie said, I really hope that's the case. Yeah, me too. I hope that there was just a misunderstanding in this situation. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I really hope it is. And I'm usually not an optimist, but I'm going to try and give them the benefit of the doubt because the behavior is so inconsistent. Witches Brew said they can't get away with as much in the West as they can in Korea. Oh, 100%. All right, and so that was pretty much all of my thoughts on this on this topic. I'm wishing Explodey Kid all of the best. I found this image, and it's from Hardcore Leveling Warrior, and I just felt like it brought the vibe so hard of what's going on for this series. Like, basically, Webtoons is kind of like, we own you, and that facial expression just hit so good and really conveyed the point, I thought. Our creator shout out. So the series is Honbarian, and it is a heartwarming and historical type story. The summary is: a young girl, lost, hungry, and suffering from memory loss, is discovered in the woods surrounding a large estate. As she seeks answers to her mysterious past and charts a path toward an uncertain future, she'll find both comfort and confrontation amongst the members of the family that takes her in. It updates every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Early in the morning. Yes. So, if you guys haven't checked out this series, the creator has such beautiful art. I loved looking at it. Their Instagram is amazing. They have more than one series as well, which maybe in the future we'll give that one a shout out. But I just want to highlight this one because I felt like it's not very often that you see a lot of historical stories. So this could be something that is very cool for people interested in that genre to look up. And they have quite the following on Patreon. I think they have over 200 subscribers to their Patreon. And so with that, our question to the community is, do you think Webtoons is sabotaging its creators? So here, I would like to hear an explanation from you guys about, you know, your thoughts on why Webtoons is sabotaging creators, like what your feelings are about this. Like, I just want all the honesty commented down below. And then, of course, a thank you to all of our patrons. If you are not subscribed as a patron, you can definitely do that for just $1 a month. It will give you access to my private Discord where I'm trying to stream twice a month with patrons. So we do like a drawing stream, and then we do a ramble stream where I just like chat about anything that's going on in my life that I'm enjoying. And you get all of that for just $1. And if you want to donate more or donate a custom amount, that is welcome as well. And so with that, I will go into outro mode. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to our next stream. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave us a like, a comment, and most definitely ring the bell. A huge thank you and shout out to our patrons. If you would like to support us while getting some extra content we don't post on Instagram or YouTube, then head on over and check out our Patreon. Be sure to follow us on all our social media, link in the description. We're particularly active on Instagram, so if you want to chat with us, then feel free to pop on by. All right, I will catch you in the next video.